Hi, my name is Judy Fisher, and I'm happy to be here today as part of this senior project. And I would like to talk to you about writing, which has been such an important part of my life for over 75 years, especially about journaling, because I started when I was about 10 years old keeping a journal. It was one of those little things with a tiny little lock that doesn't really work, and you're supposed to write all your really deepest thoughts in there. And I guess I did, because when I got to be a little more mature, like 13, I reread it, and I was so embarrassed by what I had written that I threw out that 10-year-old journal. And the 10-year-old journal is the one I really wish I had kept of all the journals that I have. But nevertheless, I kept journaling, and journals piled up, and they piled up some more, and they got pretty heavy, both physically and on my mind. I said to myself, my kids are going to hate me for leaving all these boxes of journals for them to deal with. I have to do something with them. So I started out rereading all my journals, every boring word, and tearing out pages and making notes, and just some I even threw away, the whole thing, not a year I wanted to remember. And at the end of 2 or 3 years, I had 1 carton of journals and a dining room table just piled high with notes and papers, and what was I going to do with all that now? So finally, I managed to put it together into a memoir, which I took to Oto's print shop, and they did a beautiful job with the printing. And I was able to make a kind of a scrapbook memoir, which I gave to my children and my brother and sister. And I got done with that, and I thought, well, good, I'm done. But no, I wasn't done, because the journals kept piling up, and now I have more cartons of journals. So I'm thinking what to do now, and I am not going to write another memoir, not in me. So I'm thinking, well, not too bad. I have 4 children and 9 grandchildren. When I die, if they each take 1, that should do it. And they'll have a memento of grandma, and nobody will be overburdened with these journals. So that's what I'm planning to do, so that I can keep writing and not worry about what to do with the journals. I write every morning, or once a day at least, and it's just been something I have to do every day. If I couldn't write, I would be climbing the walls. And it's not just my writing that's important to me. Maybe more important is the writing of other people. For example, my grandmother kept a diary, one of those little lock diaries, for 10 years. You could write 1 line a day on it, so I read about a lot of canning beets and going to church and having family suppers. But it encompassed the 10 years of World War II. And she had 3 sons that went into World War II, and only 2 came back. And the other one was someone, Uncle John. I knew him, and it haunted me my whole life that he did not come back from the war. And I was driven to write about Uncle John. And I did, and I had to, because not only was I driven, but I had the most amazing materials to do this memoir of John. I had my grandmother's diary of the 10 years of World War II. I had a biography written by John, when he was 16 years old. It was an English class assignment. And he wrote this biography, autobiography, that is just wonderful to read. And also I had the original story that my father wrote about some rather bizarre coincidences that surrounded the fact of Uncle John's missing in action, is what he was. And lastly, I had a letter from his best friend in the Air Force, Joe Corbin, who detailed everything that John had done in the war. And how could I not write a memoir when I had all of this material? So this is the one I wrote, and I really like this one. And I also sent that to my children and my brother and sister and my cousins. So I was the only one old enough to know this man. They didn't know him, and now they do, because not only of my writing this, but of other people's writing, which is why I just think it is so very important to leave things that you write by hand or other people write by hand. Just recently, I found in a bureau drawer up at my daughter's, I found some pages, and I said, "What's this?" It was written by my grandmother, this same lady, when she was 75, but she was talking about her childhood. So that was something else. I had to type up those notes from her childhood in 1890, somewhere around in there, and send those out to the family. And then so that was such a treasure to find that. And I have things like the last letter my mother ever wrote. She lived to be 96. She wasn't making any sense, but she wanted to write that letter, and I still have it. So I think writing is just so very important. Something written by a person's own hand, and it's a treasure to not only yourself, it's a gift to yourself, but it's a gift to other people to come across something like that. And I write for many reasons, but I think Anais Nin maybe said it best. She was a journal writer of some renown, and she said, "It's so wonderful to be able to write because you get to taste life twice." And that's what I do. So thank you very much for having me, and I hope you found this entertaining.